Ladies and gentlemen, this is TVP World. You're watching another edition of Military Mind, bringing you news from the front lines. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee. Overnight, Russian forces launched another wave of drone attack on Ukrainian cities and civilian infrastructure. The Ukrainian Air Force claimed that it shot down all 13 Shahed drones over the southern region of Zaporizhia, Odessa, and Dnipropetrovsk. Meanwhile, Ukraine launched its own drone attack targeting a Russian military airfield in the Rostov region of Russia, resulting in damage to a power substation. Russian air defense supposedly intercepted over 40 drones that were aimed at the airfield, situated approximately 100 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. According to a Ukrainian intelligence source, the attack, which occurred in the Rostov region, destroyed 6 Russian warplanes and caused damage to 8 others. More than 10 explosions were also heard over Syrskyi and Krasnodar Krai, most likely a result of Ukrainian attacks. Powerful explosions were also reported in Engels, in occupied Crimea. Most likely, the airfield was also hit there. On the front line, meanwhile, the Ukrainian military refuted claims that Russian forces had penetrated the outskirts of Chasiv Yar, a town located in the Ukraine's eastern Donetsk region. However, they acknowledged that there were ongoing clashes in its vicinity. Despite intense combat, the front line has not moved significantly in the previous days. Yet another Russian convoy went down near Novomikhailivka. Airstrikes hit the Russians in the Bakhmut area, and more enemy fighters got taken out on the Eastern Front. It's all part of the ongoing pushback against the invaders. Every day, Russia, with heavy equipment, tries to push towards the area defended by the 47th Separate Mechanized Brigade. They roll onto the battlefield in columns like they're on a parade. It just shows how crucial this territory held by the Ukrainian brigade is to the Russian occupiers. In response, soldiers from the 47th SMB greet the Russian occupiers with a salute. The Russian armored vehicles never return, just like the invaders themselves. Now, this video footage shows an interaction between engineers, artillerymen, and drone operators from the 25th Reconnaissance Battalion of the 47th Separate Mechanized Brigade. No Russians in sight. For a while now, the Russians have been following a pretty predictable playbook. They scope out the weakest spots in Ukrainian defenses, and when they find them, they hit them hard with their tanks and armored vehicles. And that's exactly what went down right before the holidays. It was probably the biggest attack of its kind since the war started, and it ended up being a disaster for the attackers. The command of the Ukrainian armed forces recently showed a position they won back from the occupiers.
Підарки лежать, суки, йобані, блядь. Той 300-й був, блядь, замотали. І, блядь. Ех, суки. Та це я поки, на пам'ять. Покажи привіт. Підароси долбойоби, за артиста, нахуй.
The commander-in-chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Oleksandr Syrskyi, recently demonstrated new aspects of the Ukrainian army's combat work against occupiers. The demonstration was about the fire pressure of the defense forces of Ukraine. In the center of tension was an epic video in which, in various situations on the front, the equipment and personnel of the Russian Federation are destroyed. The commander posted a video on his Telegram channel. And to close out today's episode, we want to show you footage from Ukrainian soldiers and how they are destroying Russian occupiers with drones. You can actually see how these Ukrainian soldiers can fly by drones directly to the Russian trenches. And with that footage, we conclude this edition of Military Mind. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.